Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. We're covering another video today. Today we are talking about focus and directrix, but with horizontal parabolas. So if you need help with vertical, I have two other videos on my channel to help with vertical parabolas. For right now, let's focus on this. Let me move this out of the way. So I have here just some examples straight from Delta Math. We got a parabola that can be drawn given a focus of -2, 6 and a directrix of x equals -10. We're going to write the equation of the parabola in any form. We'll just stick with our vertex form. So vertex form again, it's x equals a y minus k squared plus h. Our a value can be found by doing 1 over 4p. And our vertex is going to be h comma k. So biggest thing again about horizontal parabolas, it's the same way as in vertical parabolas. At the very end, we'll make some switches with our vertex form, but for the most part, everything else is the same. So it's already plotted for us, which makes it quite nice. Next, let's find the total distance from the focus to the directrix. So that total distance right here is you can just count the units or just count the difference between the x's. There will be a distance of 8. So why is that important? Well, to find our vertex, we know that the vertex will be right in the middle of the focus and directrix. So our vertex will be straight in the middle between our focus and directrix. Now, just as it is with our vertical parabolas, I blanked for a second, our vertex will be on the same axis of symmetry as our focus. What that means for us is that the y value of the focus is the same as the y value of the vertex. So in this case, we have a y value of 6 for focus, so the vertex will have a y value of 6 as well. How do we find the x? Well, remember, the vertex is straight in the middle between the focus and directrix. So since that total distance is 8, vertex will be 4 away from the focus or from the directrix. A couple things here. It's going to be in the middle of them. So I can either count 4 units away from directrix or 4 units away from focus. Doesn't matter because we'll end up in the same position. So if I count 4 away from there, we'll end up, my bad, we'll end up here at an x value of -6, which is not too bad because now we can use this formation to also find if it'll open to the right or left. So remember, the directrix and the focus are needed to know, we need to know those two in order to see if it opened to the right or left. So our focus will always be on the inside of our parabola, and our parabola will always open in the opposite direction of our directrix. So in this case, this parabola will open to the right. And since it's opening to the right, that's fine, that's great, because our A value is going to end up becoming positive. So we don't need to change anything. But we still need to find A value. So what is our value of P? So if you forgot, I'll write it up here. P is the distance from the vertex to the focus. Wow, that's not how you spell focus. From distance from the vertex to the focus, or I'll do this here, focus. That's kind of confusing. I'll do slash. I don't want you to say like focus divided by directrix. I'll do slash directrix. So the value of P is your distance from the vertex to the focus or from the vertex to the directrix. It doesn't matter because my vertex is straight in the middle between the two. So what is that distance? In this case, it's a value of 4. So when I'm trying to find my a value, I'll do 1 over 4p, which would be 1 over 4 times 4, which is 1 over 16. And again, that a value is positive because it is opening up to the right. Now we have our final part. Let's go ahead and plug in everything that we know about this equation. So x equals a, parentheses, y minus k squared plus h. Well, we know the a value. That is 1 over 16. And we actually know the vertex as well. So remember, the stuff inside the parentheses is going to be the opposite sign. So my k value right now is a positive 6. So instead of saying a positive 6, I'll say minus 6. And my h value is the x of my vertex, which is just negative 6. Oh, my bad. Just negative 6 in this case. And that's nice and good because that actually is our equation. So we have a couple more examples just like this. Same thing, focus of negative, negative 6, negative 7, directrix of x equals 2, write the equation. So if you need the formulas, they're on the other page. This total distance, you can just either count the units or just count the difference between the x's. So one is at an x of negative 6, the other is at an x of positive 2. So it looks like a total distance of 8. Now, again, to find the vertex, I'm going to see that it's going to be, I'll do it right here, vertex. It's going to be right in the middle between the focus and directrix. So that means that it's going to have the same y value as my focus. How do we find the x value? Well, just count, in this case, 4 units away from the focus or 4 units away from my directrix. Doesn't really matter because you still end up with the same thing. So in this case here, we'll have a negative 2, comma, negative 7. How to get negative 2? Well, I counted 4 units away from the focus, or I counted 4 units away from the directrix. Either way, you still get the same thing. So if it helps, you can go ahead and draw this parabola now because you need to know if it opens to the left or right. So the parabola will always open in the opposite direction of the directrix, and the focus will always be on the inside of the parabola. Remember, the parabola hugs the focus. So in this case, we got ourselves a parabola opening to the left. Why is that important? Why do we need to know that? Well, for our a value, that means our a value, and if it helps, you can go ahead and say the negative here. It's going to be negative 1 over 16. It needs to be negative because our parabola is opening to the left. And this is quite nice because now I can just go ahead and plug in what I know. I know that my a value is negative 1 over 16. My k value is the y, my vertex. So notice here, it's y minus k, so y minus negative 7. I need to move my person out of the way. Oh, I made them bigger. No, that's better. Y minus k squared. And then, my bad, I didn't mean to put plus h. Because I want to say plus negative 2, I'll just say minus 2. And then go ahead and clean it up there because y minus negative 7 is the same thing as y plus 7. And then be nice to box up your answer. Okay. The biggest thing here was the a value was negative. We need to make the a negative because it's opening to the left. Again, when our parabola is opening to the left, a is negative. I knew it was opening to the left because of 2 reasons. One, it's going to open in the opposite direction of my directrix. And 2, my focus is going to be on the inside of my parabola. That means my parabola just loves to hug the focus, loves to show it love. Similar question, got ourselves focus of -9, -7, and directrix of x equals 9. This is a big distance, isn't it? Again, either just count the units, like literally just count the tick marks, or just look at the difference between the two. So in this case, we actually have a total distance of 18. It's pretty good. Which brings us to say, okay, why is that important? Well, we can use that to find the vertex. Again, the vertex and focus are on the same axis of symmetry. So for this example, or sorry, for horizontal parabolas, that means that the y value of my focus and the y value of my vertex will be the same. So with this here, how do we find the x value? Remember, vertex is in between the two. So since that is a total distance of 18, that means we need to travel 9 away from the focus or 9 away from the directrix. Either way, it needs to be in the middle. In this case, this isn't too bad because, well, it's at -9. And so if I add 9, that means it must be at 0. So the vertex is at that point 0, -7. And again, this is a really big parabola. Okay, ask yourself, opening to the right, opening to the left. And this looks very similar to the last one. Since the focus needs to be on the inside of the parabola, and since the parabola needs to open opposite of the directrix, that means my A value better be negative. So I'll go ahead and say my P is negative because 4 times -9 will give me that -36. This is nice and good, but make sure you actually write your equation because that was the purpose. So x equals a y minus k squared plus h. So my a value in this case is just -1/36. Okay, my k value is the y of my vertex. So notice again, the y is -7, so I'll say y minus -7. And the h is 0, so you don't need to say +0. I'll say it right now just so you know that's what the h value is. So I'll say +0, but I'll clean it up in a second and I'll erase it. So y minus -7 is the same thing as +7. Y plus 7. And again, you don't need to include that +0. I mean, you can if you want to, but that'll be, I guess, just being extra at that point. Again, our A needs to be negative because we're opening to the left. I think it's the final question here. Focus 7, -4. Directrix x equals -5. Pause the video, try yourself. Welcome back. Don't know how long it took, but I do know that the distance between the directrix and focus will help us find our missing values. So that total distance right there, just my mic, that total distance is a distance of 12. Why is that important? Well, to find the vertex, I know that's going to be directly in between the two. And I know off the bat, it better have the same y value as my focus, which is -4. But in this case, how do I find the x value? Well, take that 12, divide that by 2, and you'll end up getting 6. So that means here, I'm going to travel 6 units away from the directrix and 6 units away from the focus as I go in. Again, I know it's going to be at -4, and I know it must be 6 units away, so it looks like it'll be at that +1. Oh, my bad, +1. Ask yourself, okay, opening to the right, opening to the left. Answer out loud. Perfect, you're correct. It's opening up to the right. Why is it to the right? 2 reasons. One, focuses on the inside. Focuses on the, I was just blank for a second. Focuses on the inside of the parabola. And my parabola must open in the opposite direction of my directrix. The p-value, again, is a distance from the vertex to directrix or from vertex to focus. Either way, those are both the same number, which is 6 in this case. And we know that 4 times 6 is 24. So we got that good old fraction of 1 over 24. So why are we doing this again? Because we want the equation of this parabola. That's why. So plus h, so x equals that a value, which was 1 over 24. And then y minus my k value. And again, the k value is the y of my vertex, so y minus -4. And h is the x of my vertex, which is, in this case, +1. Clean it up because we like to be nice and clean. And we get our final answer, so please box it up so I don't tear out my hair. It's going away. Horizontal parabolas, very, very similar to vertical parabolas. Biggest thing here, again, is that vertex form always messes with people. Man, people always get confused with this h comma k, how it's flipped, and people still miss this a value. Again, if it's opening to the right, that means the a value is positive. And if it's opening to the left, that means my a value is negative. What are some common things we see here? Those are honestly the biggest things I keep seeing. And also make sure to say x equals. That's just a little common mistake we see. And then that the vertex is always in between the directrix and focus. Okay, so don't say the vertex is somewhere over here, because that's not true. It needs to be between the two. That's just a definition of focus and directrix and vertex. Now, this was just a video to help you out. Your Delta Math homework is very similar to this. If you have other questions, if you're still getting stuck on something, please reach out. I don't know if you need help if you don't tell me. So communication is really big and important right now. Do not hesitate to reach out. If you don't have any questions, I want you, you can't argue this, I want you to have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week and come ready for next week. Adios.